you for tuning in to Radicards TV on Radicards.com. I'm your host, Patrick Greeno, and this is my buddy Dan G.
How's it going, Pat?
Hey, Dan, how's it going?
Yeah, it's going.
Yeah.
It's going, yeah.
Good. Glad to hear what's new.
So I brought 2 cards. One for comparison, one to kind of just show off.
Yeah.
Don't know a whole lot about the second one, but the first one is a 2019 Allen and Ginter Mark McGwire relic card. It's a piece of wood, you know, so the assumption is probably that, but you never know.
It's a glove,
right? It's a glove, yeah. But when the product came out, I knew that he was going to have this framed mini, and so I was pretty active the second it released to just make sure I acquired one. Right. Last year there were different variations, and it became a little tedious. And so I'd been following it for quite some time. I mean, Allen and Ginter launched one sometime in July, right? And I noticed in the early onset that they were all these wood cards, these wood relics, right? And they're sharp, they got some good looks to them. Yeah. And then one day I found in the sold listing somebody had the exact same card, but the relic piece was a jersey.
Sure.
And so that kind of mystified me. Like, I kept going back and looking at it and wondering, like, did I just see this wrong? What was going on? And it was the only one I saw. So I had a buddy, Mike. Sure. And I said, he follows the Allen and Ginter stuff pretty close. I said, hey, if you see another McGwire with a relic piece that is cloth, right, let me know. Sure. And he had given me a heads up that he'd seen one in a lot, and I searched and searched and searched for the listing. I could never find it. He told me it was a white piece, right? And so I thought it was really weird, but I checked all the listings I could possibly imagine, right, and never came across it. So I had only seen the red one that had sold on eBay, and about 2 weeks ago, well, maybe it's about 3 weeks because of the auction time, he said, hey, there's another one that popped up with a cloth piece. And so I looked, and sure enough, it was there. So I won the auction. I put a ridiculous amount on there
make sure you got it.
Make sure I got it, right? And I won the auction, and there it is. And so now I'm totally mystified because, for every cloth relic that I have seen, I've probably seen 250 to 500 of the wood relics.
That's a lot of wood relics.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm sure I'm seeing a lot of the same.
A million wood relics.
And I'm probably exaggerating slightly, but it seems like just repeatedly these wood relics are popping up, popping up. So there seems to be no shortage of them. But I have only seen auctions for 2 that have the cloth piece. And so, I did a post on Twitter, hoping that maybe somebody knew something. Didn't really hear anything about that. So, I'm still kind of stumped, but they do exist. They are there. There's the proof of it right there. And I mean, when you look at the cards side by side, I mean, they are identical, right? Backs are identical. Nothing about them.
The thickness is identical.
Thickness is identical. Mark McGwire looks the same.
Right.
Right.
He's not bloated in one of the pictures.
No. And so I'm just kind of glad to have one. Like I said, I have not seen more than 2. Yeah. So it's good to have one and add it to the McGwire collection. Right. So
maybe there's one with a wristband.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
Or pants. Or a belt.
Yeah.
It
would be cool to have the red, the black, and the white, if the white does exist. So I mean, maybe somebody out there watching this might know a little bit more. Maybe some Topps employee. I don't know, but I can assure you there are not many.
Yeah. So, maybe they've seen 1,000,001 bat cards.
That could be
to one
or maybe
jersey.
Topps has a cache of them, and they're going to release them all at once.
Yeah, with the wood minis, right?
Right. They're there with the wood minis. So it kind of just it's got me intrigued. It's got me baffled a little bit. Why would they make so many wood relics and only a few of the cloth relics? It's hard to say.
Okay, a couple thoughts come to mind. One, there have been instances in the past where you can this has taken place, at least in Thomas stuff, in years past, where I'd see a block of them with one material and then a block with another material, and it's documented. Like one's jersey, one's bat. One happens to be maybe more or less abundant than the other. Maybe comes with a print run.
Right.
You know, I've seen that. Some stuff that comes to mind is Leather and Lumber. That product from the mid 2000s. They did that.
Right.
Leaf Certified did that. So I've seen, and there have been probably others just off the top of my head. Those two come to mind, and so I have seen this. Now, the other thought that comes to mind is that it's not documented, but they say maybe have, and I don't know this. I'm just looking at this from a strictly from a manufacturing production standpoint. Topps had a quota. They had to meet, say, 1,000 of every player with wood. They came up short on some of them. Like, well, what else can we put in? We don't have any more wood chunks. We're not going to cut up a bat for 10 more cards. So can we put some jerseys in there? What do we got? So that may have been the case. I don't know. I'm looking at it strictly from logic and why it was the case that you've seen so many wood, and the ratio to wood to jersey is such a discrepancy.
Right, and it's huge.
Right.
It's huge.
And if it's that big, then I think about, well, then maybe it's the quota, and then they have to fill in the last 5 or 10 cards because they ran out of wood pieces.
Right.
I don't know, and because I don't work at Topps, so I don't know how their manufacturing works. I don't know how they process that. Hey, the chunks have to be 1 inch by 1 inch. They can't be any larger or smaller, otherwise we run out at a certain point.
Right.
So I don't know that either. But if I were in manufacturing these kinds of cards, those are the kinds of thoughts I'd have to have on a daily basis. Now, because these aren't there's no serial number on them.
Right.
I feel at least partially confident assuming that the print run is unknown. It's a lot like the base autos for Bowman Chrome, and then you've got the refractor serial number to 500 or whatever, and then it goes down from there.
Right.
So the base card, who knows how many were signed? So in this capacity, in this particular train of thought, looking at this is that I would feel like maybe it was the ratio thing, that we ran out of chunks of wood. Let's add in something else. Now, I also know that the Beckett database doesn't get updated until maybe months after a product is released. So maybe this is a variation that's considered an SSP.
Maybe.
You know, maybe it's that the bat one is the base and then the SP is the jersey.
Right.
There's also that piece of it. And in that case, it also does is also in alignment with the ratio thing. Hey, there's so many more bat pieces. I mean, if it was intentional, great. And if it wasn't, then maybe it was the case that, it was the ratio thing. So there are pieces to this conversation that we work with based on a lot of unknown unknowns. And so this would be one of those things. And I'm glad you brought that by, because Ginter is a very mysterious product to me.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's fun. It's so interesting because there's so many different variations and parallels, and they did the break the code thing for a while that I don't think is still being implemented. I think that was retired some years back. I never understood it. I never learned about it. But Ginter is such an interesting product in that there's so many different variations, and I'm a big fan. I'm glad you brought these by, because it is cool to see that there are, does this exist for other players?
See, I don't know.
Yeah, that's the thing too, is that if you collect a player in the set and he happens to have a framed mini bat card, he may or may not have also a framed mini jersey card of the same orientation, the same picture, the same style. So something to think about, some good knowledge. I'm not pursuing Ginter this year. I don't really ever pursue it, but I like seeing the stuff that comes to the pipeline.
It's one of the more modern products that usually has McGwire that I go after, because there's fun stuff in it, and I think we had last time talked about the stained glass minis, and I thought those were
great.
Cool. Yeah,
they're great.
Yeah, so
that's cool. Thanks for bringing those by.
Sure.
I just want to preface my share by saying that when you know people who go through personal changes, the best thing we can do is just respect that they're making those decisions, because it's what they feel is best for themselves. And that's important, because who are we to judge what we feel other people should do?
Right.
Nobody understands what someone's going through other than that person. So just let them do them and leave it be, because you're doing you, let them do them, and that's really important. So today we're going to be talking about Andrew Luck. He recently retired from football, so I thought it'd be cool to discuss his career a little bit and sort of kind of where it went. Now, I remember in 2012 him coming on the scene, him blasting huge hobby hype.
Right.
And I remember him breaking the single season I think it was the amount of yardage passed in a single game. Like, it surpassed Cam Newton by a yard. Something like 433 over 432, like that big of a difference, which is minute, right? But it's still huge in comparison to like the average quarterback who throws in a game. Right. And I know that he was very popular in 2012 and in 13. Yeah. Huge.
Well, he got thrown under the bus a few times though, because he was, at Stanford, and he decided to stay one more year and finish his degree.
Okay.
Which I thought was admirable.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
And I think that's a fantastic decision.
Right.
Especially like you said, you do you.
Yeah.
And he was part of the first rookie class where they had renegotiated the rookie salaries for the collective bargaining agreement.
Oh, interesting. So
it cost him a lot of money to do that. But I mean, I don't think he's hurting for money right now.
No. Yeah. And he took the position over quarterback after Peyton Manning went off to the Broncos.
Correct.
And so you have this legacy that you have to compete against. Mm-hmm. You have to play at that level. And I think he performed at such a level in the beginning. He played on the Colts throughout his 7-year career, and he did really well. And so I remember Luck's stuff just blowing up huge in 2012. And I've never really been a football card collector. In fact, I acquired this because I heard about his retirement. I was like, well, let's see what's in the market, And I found this. I was like, what a great card to have. It's not a rookie year card. It's just 2013. His rookie year stuff is found in 2012. But I was like, I went through 2012. I couldn't find anything I really liked. I liked some of it. I didn't want to put a lot of money into a player that I vaguely followed.
Right.
And so I was like, well, let's see what's in his second year stuff. And then I was like, well, this Panini Crusade's great. It's got great design, scans really well. I'll just grab this. So this was very affordable. And so I grabbed this recently. This came in the mail just a couple days ago. Actually, I think, yesterday. And so I wanted to talk about him because he recently retired because he was tired of dealing with injury.
Yeah, he's been injured a good portion of his career.
And you know what? He made his money. He made his impact. He made his legacy.
People
retire.
will remember him.
Yeah, he just turned 30. Let the guy be him. Get over it.
You'll never forget the neck beard. Right. Yeah.
So I'm proud of him for making these decisions on his own and not waiting it out. Whatever you feels best for you, just do that. And this is a perfect example. He had a great career. He's still very young. He's retired at 30. Who can say they do that?
Yeah.
And he has plenty of money. He can maybe be an analyst for one of the networks, or be a coach, or do something in football still and still get a good salary.
He's got a degree from Stanford.
Got a degree from Stanford. He can fall back on, and that's amazing.
Yeah.
So he's already serious. He's achieved greatness.
Yeah.
At already such a young age. So I'm cheering him on for being him and doing what he feels is the best for himself.
I agree.
And that's how I feel about most people that I know who do whatever they need to do for themselves. You just have to kind of sit back and wish them all the best. Mm-hmm. And Luck is one of those guys who has achieved greatness and has made a decision he feels best for him, and that's important. And so I want to talk about him a little bit. I don't follow football nearly as much as some of the other fellas in the hobby, because I'm more of a baseball guy, but I do remember the hype around Luck in football, and I remember being there's no way I'm going to be able to afford an Andrew Luck card.
Right.
Just not going to happen. And so years go by, I was like, well, if this is the only Luck card I get, I'm good.
Yeah.
It's not a rookie year card, but I don't need a rookie year card to be happy with I guess type collecting a certain player. This would be my Luck card. This is the purple parallel number to 49. There's a black, there's a red, a green, yeah, sure. And so you've got the different flavors that are classic in comparison to the 1998 original design of Crusade.
Right.
The thing is, I kind of wish they would have layered that, mimicked it the same. The red is to 25, purple's to 100, the green is to 250, and then you can throw in a black to 1 just for a goof. But then I think there's also a blue one as well. Huh. That's I don't think serial numbered, but don't quote me on that. I just I know that the color comparison to the original 98 Crusades is, in terms of serial number, differs. Mm-hmm. So this purple, if it were mimicked the original design, it would be to 100. And I'd still be that's a great card.
Right.
It doesn't have to be to 49. A 49, why not 50? Whatever. So I like this stuff. This is cool. Great card. So this is the 2013 Panini Crusade Purple Parallel. Andrew Luck, serial number to 49. So I'm glad I got to talk about that. Do you remember the hype around him in 2013?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that the hype still exists.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they were expecting big things out of him this year because he had some success last year, and the injuries just pile up. I saw a list of what he was going through.
He sustained a lot.
And it was, it just one right after another.
Yeah.
I mean, then we're not talking like, turf toe or anything like that.
Sure.
We're talking major issues. So, I mean, I can respect, your body is only going to last you so long.
It's organic. It breaks down over time. It's just like anything else. With use, it's just going to break down over time. You have any moving parts in anything, organically or mechanically, you're going to have deterioration over time.
Right. And I think when it comes to that, he doesn't owe anybody. I know that some people disagree. He owes the fans. He owes his teammates.
He doesn't owe anybody anything.
I don't believe that.
He doesn't owe anybody anything. He owes himself the best decisions he feels are best for him. That's all he owes.
Is what's most important.
Honestly, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what people say.
Yeah.
And so I'm happy for him, and I look forward to, seeing if he's, wants to contribute in other ways, administratively maybe, or just be happy living. Like, who cares?
You know, and I think that argument that, he owes people, well, other athletes owe the fans. They shouldn't be going out and hitting women, right?
Right.
Like, that's a decision they made. They have to live with the consequence of that. But no, you don't hear people making that argument. Oh, he shouldn't have done that because he owes the fan. No.
Well, people speak out of logic frequently, so you have to kind of just let them do that because that's pretty normal for a lot of people, unfortunately. But he took out a full-page ad in one of his local newspapers. I think it was one of his local papers, thanking the fans.
Yeah.
That ad was just to thank the fans.
Yeah.
And so, like, he doesn't. Dude, talk about stand-up guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, who does that? That's benchmark. That's leadership.
Right.
And I think that if you're going to leave and make a transition in any capacity that affects anybody, you don't have to do anything.
Right.
You can just step out and be like, I'm good. But he took it out of his time to, like, take out an ad thanking the fans. That's class, man.
I agree.
And so I'm happy for Andrew Luck, and I wish him all the best, and everybody should wish him all the best. It says, if we were in this position, we were making the same decision, we would only want that from other people.
Right.
Right? That would be fair. So, anyway, I just wanted to talk about Andrew Luck. I think this is a great card. I like the set. I like that Panini put together a rendition of the Crusades that are ever so popular in the hobby. This is a set that I'm like, God, I would love to put together a set of this. But the different colors, it's kind of exhausting. Like, I would never want to do a master set of a single color. And I'm sure there are guys in here that are huge, they're expensive, and so I'm like, what color would I want, and who are the big heads that I would need to acquire? Right. So the Crusades is like, well, it's one of those sets that, actually in baseball, I casually work on the green set. Mm-hmm. But I haven't added one in a while. And I don't know how long. I don't know if I'll ever finish it because it's not high up on priority. It's pretty low. There are other projects that are, like, more important or pressing, and so. But I like the green run for baseball. Now, you guys might remember in baseball they did the Call to Arms and the Classic Crusade designs, and they were going to release them both again with the same players. But before Pinnacle DLP went out, that sort of was defunct, and so you can find the bankruptcy issues of the player's other version, but they didn't, to my understanding, they didn't do that with the re-release in 2013. They just did the Classic Crusade design. Right. Again, don't quote me on that. I just haven't seen the Call to Arms versions from the 2013 rendition of the set. So anyway, it's neither here nor there. I just wanted to talk about this because this is a great card, great player, and I wish him all the best, and thanks for bringing your cards by. Do you have any final thoughts?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Thank you for tuning in to Radicards TV on Radicards.com. I'm your host, Patrick Reno, and until next time, enjoy collecting.
Take care.
If you like this content, please subscribe. Thank you. Enjoy collecting.